are my friends. Come along with me, see how the story ends.
This episode is brought to you by North Spore. Ever wondered what secrets lie beneath the forest floor? What if I told you there's a hidden kingdom waiting to be explored right in your own home? North Spore is your getaway to this magical world. Whether you're a beginner or a seasoned mycologist, North Spore has everything you need to cultivate culinary delights, medicinal powerhouses, and even a little mind-expanding magic. Unlock the power of fungi with their top-notch spawn, easy-to-use kits, and a treasure trove of knowledge. If you're ready to embark on your mushroom journey, visit northspore.com and discover a community of passionate growers, expert resources, and endless possibilities. It's time to tap into the ancient wisdom of fungi and transform your world. Be sure to use code Professional Hippies for a very special discount to fuel your fungal exploration. North Spore, where wonder grows. Everybody, welcome back to another episode of Professional Hippies. Today we are joined by, I think, the quintessential professional hippie. Of course, you have me, Colton, your co-host Dylan, and today on the episode we have James Benefico. I would say someone that we met originally through Delaney, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then someone that has continued to pop up in different social circles when I run into you. So I'm just like, you're everywhere, man. And I'm really grateful you decided to come on our podcast today. James is the founder of Organic Muscle. So whether you're someone that is just like, hey, I'm looking for a better alternative to all the supplements I've been using, or you're someone that is becoming more health conscious, I think this episode is going to touch a wide array of personalities. And the reason I want to have James on the podcast is because I think it's a great example of what happens when you see a problem in the market and you decide to do something about it. And so James is going to tell us about his business, how it got started, how it got to where he's at now. And other than that, man, I just think you're an awesome guy. You're someone that's dude, you live your brand, and I can't think of a cooler type of business. It's just awesome. You have just a feel good behind your product. You can so proudly promote it because I'll go ahead and hint this one away. This is what I was looking up, doing the research behind your brand. It was the first USDA approved organic pre-workout supplement.
First one. I was 23 years old, and it was a product I personally wanted to use. I had really negative experiences with these pre-workouts. Thank you for the awesome intro, by the way. That was beautiful. Mwah.
Thanks. Yeah.
So I just had these horrible experiences with these crappy pre-workouts where I'd have horrible heart palpitations and jitters. And most people I talk to who use pre-workout, they're like, oh yeah, that's happened to me too. So like you said, it was a problem that I personally had. I wanted to use a healthy, clean, organic pre-workout, and none existed at that time. So I had the light bulb moment, and I was like, well, shit, I would use this every day. So I got together with some friends. We made a business plan. We had absolutely no idea what we were doing. And we figured it out with a baptism by fire that was kind of a train wreck, but eventually you figure it out and you come up with something great.
Was it kind of just one of that stupid optimism? You're like, we can make this, and then just figured it out as one does.
And another thing about it, I had quite a few business ideas over the course of my life, but I would be like, oh, this is an interesting idea, and then it would kind of just fade away. This one, I couldn't sleep. I literally didn't sleep for the first 2 days after I came up with the idea. I laid in bed. I was like, why has no one else done this? Wait, seriously, no one else has done this yet? I don't understand. So I became literally obsessed. And I think that level of obsession is necessary because you're going to run into every freaking hurdle imaginable, especially if you have some kind of novel business idea. It's going to be hard. It's not going to be easy. So you have to have a almost an unhealthy level of obsession to see it through to the end.
Mm-hmm.
Were you hyped up on all the other,
maybe that's why I didn't say
in order to get this product in place?
Yeah, that might have been it.
You're like,
it was all the drugs
awake, figuring it out. C4 locked in.
That's
What were,
hilarious.
in the early days, what were some of the biggest challenges? Was it sourcing packaging, sourcing ingredients, verifying that the ingredients that you thought you were getting are the ingredients? Like,
So I literally had no idea what I was doing on any front. Fundraising, labels, compliance, ingredient sourcing.
The idea.
But I was super blessed to have an incredible friend who was more knowledgeable than myself and who also seeded the company. We raised $100,000 to start the business, and that was basically the last money we raised. And then I was super blessed to team up with one of the only organic certified supplement manufacturers in the country at that time. And I rolled up in there. I was an overweight 23-year-old who had no idea what he was doing. And they kind of took me in, and like it was such a blessing. They really helped me. They saw the vision. They're like, wow, this is actually a good idea. And I think they saw my heart was in it, and they helped me make this vision a reality. So I'm super grateful to my manufacturer for helping us with it, because it would have been a lot harder without a really good partner on that front.
and they acted kind of like mentors throughout the process, I'm
Mentors,
assuming.
yeah,
When it
they
came
had
to
all these relationships with organic ingredient vendors for all of these, ginseng, beetroot. They had all of these existing. They had all of the documentation. They had vetted all the farms, everything. So I wasn't starting at square one when I got with them. They had already built all these relationships. They already had certified organic. Their manufacturing facility had already been certified. So I wasn't starting at square one.
So it sounded
That's
like
huge.
they needed kind of like someone that had the passion that you did. They were like, we want someone to do this. We're kind of paying everyone else a certain amount to do other things that we need them to do. But like, we'd like to have someone who's passionate. You're probably a younger guy. They're like, we don't need to give him executive level money here, but we can give him a good amount of money to be able to maintain and build. And that's awesome. That sounds like perfect timing. You came with the idea, you came in with the source. Like, so many people, I feel like, miss those opportunities because they don't do exactly what you did. Just try a little bit to make something happen.
You just got to throw yourself into the fire. And the passion is big. I really think they saw the passion. Mm-hmm. And I was able to raise the money. So there was like, if you have passion and no like capital, they're like, all right, well, you still got to place an order. It's $50,000, So the stars aligned, and I'm really grateful for that. But I think when you really throw yourself into something with all of your heart, things start to align for you,
That's where I would totally double down on the woo behind that. It's like the universe puts up, what was the thing my mentor used to say? It's like the universe will put up brick walls for those that don't want it bad enough and speed bumps for those that do.
I love that. Yeah, it's so true. So true.
So what did the first year, 2 years look like? Like really quickly, kind of give a snapshot. It's like, hey, you had the vision. People are fired up for you, but they're like, okay, brass tacks. Like the rubber has to meet the road. Like, what did that kind of first?
It probably took a year to bring the product to market. We started with the pre-workout. So it was all from the time it was an idea to the building a business plan to the developing the formula took some time. So I based it on my own research. And then I spoke with nutritionists, naturopathic doctors, brought like a preliminary formula to our manufacturer, and then they helped us perfect it, right? And then it was making the labels. Then we had to submit everything to the USDA and quality assurance and get everything certified. And there was revisions. So that all took about a year. And then I had my product. It finally came in. I was like, oh shit, I gotta like sell it now. Oh my God. So that's when I started getting scared. Like, dude, oh my God, I just spent all this money. I spent someone else's money and I don't know how to sell this. So we built the website and it was so amazing. Like, dude, I'll never forget when we just started getting sales. Like we literally just put it up on the website and sales started coming in. Even though it was like a couple a week, I was like, holy shit, like people actually want this. We're not even running ads yet. And it was because we were the only certified organic pre-workout. So anytime someone typed in organic pre-workout, we came up first because there was no competition. So then we got on Amazon and we started getting some real traction, started building up the reviews. And yeah, the first few years were actually really, really good for us. And then like 3 or 4 years in, actually things got really tough and we had a couple really hard years.
Like competitors entering the market or what?
It was a few things. Yeah, a lot of competitors entered. We had a greens product that was pretty successful early on, and then like athletic greens, and everyone and their mom made a greens product, and the market got super competitive. So we lost a lot of market share there. But also our prices went up, and our supply chain, especially during COVID, like supply chain got challenging, and our orders took, like, it used to take 6 to 8 weeks from the time we ordered for it to be made, and it started taking like 16, 20 weeks. So that was very challenging period, very challenging. But all these things, you just got to keep pushing. It sucks. I was extremely depressed at points, and like it was really hard when you run out of stock of a product and you know you're losing thousands of dollars every single day, and you have to pay bills and manufacture. I don't think people can comprehend the level of stress with entrepreneurship when you have employees and your livelihood's on the line. Like the upside is so high, but also the stress levels can be through the roof. So you really need to learn how to modulate and control your stress in a healthy manner.
I would assume you work out. So for anyone listening, that's the thing we talk about. Make sure you work out with organic muscle.
With the FDA getting that through approval, you said you had to go through like revisions. I would assume getting FDA approval would be harder if I'm trying to get a new type of Skittle, right? With all the bullshit that they put into a Skittle, but like a super organic product, and now you're having to go through revisions. Like, I'm wondering what made such an organic product so difficult to keep going through revisions to get it to where we needed to be.
So it was with the USDA to be certified organic. So yeah, like I know exactly what you're saying. There's so much garbage on the market. So with the certified organic, you have to source all of your ingredients. You have to show them all the documentation. They have to vet your farms. Every step of the process has to be vetted, from the seeds that are used to the pesticides that are used, to how it's harvested, to how it's transported, to how it's dried, to how it's powderized. Every step of the way, you provide everything to the USDA, and then you're certified organic. So for all these non-organic products, they're not doing any of that. They don't have to show what pesticides and whatnot was used. That's why eating organic is generally a good idea, because glyphosates and a lot of other harmful pesticides are used on non-organic crops. And non-organic supplements are using crops and ingredients that are grown using these really harmful pesticides.
I can see that. So it wasn't just like the product itself. It was all the way through the process. You're having, I think like Ernst & Young and all of them even do auditing on those now. Like Ernst & Young and PwC, they even do auditing. Like it is. You're right. It is pretty crazy now trying to get that stamp organic on there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a blessing to have it. But again, it's just something I want to use, and I want to be able to sleep at night. Like, my family uses this, my friends. So I honestly don't understand why everyone doesn't get it. And organic isn't the end all be all. I'm not going to act like it's a perfect certification, but it's a start. I think they have much better standards in Europe for a lot of these things. But big agriculture and these institutions have so much power in the United States. It's insane.
What when it comes to like running the business, I mean, so you've had this business since, was it 2014?
Yeah, like 2015.
2015. So we're talking 9 years in now. Like, what would you say? This is going to be kind of just a big question. So nothing specific I'm looking for, just kind of see inside your brain. what would you say is kind of like your guiding principles? Like, what are like the foundational principles for like, hey, if shit hits the fan, this is the direction we're going, or to continue to constantly improve? Because if you're not improving, like I'm sure things atrophy and break down. Like, what are some of the tried and true principles you find yourself falling back on?
Well, I could tell you that I'm like a philosophically driven person. I'm a values driven person. A big drive for starting this business was my mom getting sick and getting cancer. And I believe it was caused by her poor diet at the time. And I've told this story on other podcasts, but I'll say it really quick. When she was in the hospital getting chemo, and the nurse came in and gave her a hot dog and a soda, and I got very upset. I'm like, this can't be healthy to feed to a lady who's dying of cancer. And I got in an argument with her oncologist about it. And he said to me, it doesn't matter what they eat. Like, kind of shushed me. Like, dude, it doesn't matter what they eat. So that event changed my life. And thank God my mom survived after experimental stem cell transplant. And she's still with us today and doing well. But that pissed me off, dude. That really pissed me off. I saw these kids dying in the hospital. I go to the cafeteria. They're feeding them absolute garbage, soda and French fries, and like literally just Frankenfood. And I'm like, what is this demonic kind of setup where that's what's fed to sick children dying of cancer? So I honestly got pissed off, and I dedicated my life to nutrition after that. I also had my own weight loss journey where I lost 80 pounds and I retook my own health. So honestly, I'm morally driven in this whole thing. I don't want to see anyone suffer from these diseases. That's so many in the United States, so much disease is preventable. The majority of disease is completely preventable with an active lifestyle and a clean, healthy diet. And it just upsets me, honestly. I'm a happy-go-lucky person, but when I think about the amount of suffering and how all of these major institutions have misguided everyone into eating like shit, it pisses me off. So that's why I dedicate my life to this, because I just want to see people be healthy and flourish, you know?
That is the deep irony behind hospitals, isn't it? You know, my sister had thyroid cancer, and it was a different direction with her because they were like, with the radiation, she could only eat certain foods because of like the nuclear tracing that they were doing. Whatever that was about. I mean, feeding her chemicals so they could see where the cancer was. And then after that, they're like, hey, it totally doesn't matter. But you probably know Hal Elrod, right? Miracle Morning.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah. He uses organic. I don't know if I could say this, but he orders organic muscle. I swear to God. I'm sorry if he's not an ambassador or anything, but I swear to God on my life, I've seen his orders come through, and I wrote him a letter and he didn't answer. But hey, Hal.
Yeah, that's all good. If something comes of that, we have the power of editing and not what's on the internet. Anyway, moving on. So
I'm gonna make sure it's repeated twice now.
That's just such a deep irony, isn't it? That like, and I totally appreciate what you're saying. Like, organic isn't the end all be all, because I've known a lot of organic farmers from a previous business that I had, and they were like, there's a lot of ways they can skirt certain things, the farmers themselves. But just hearing everything that you have to go through to have an organic product, like that gives you some level of certainty that even if it's not the end all be all, sure hell, got to be a lot better than the fucking experimental Skittle Dylan over here wants to build.
Exactly. Just the fact, look, I'll be the first to tell you, USDA organic certification is not perfect, and there's a lot of improvements that could be made. But just knowing there's not glyphosate in it, glyphosate causes cancer. It literally has been proven in several studies to cause cancer. Just knowing that one ingredient is 100% not in it the juice is worth the squeeze. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Can they put that on there? Because they're going to say like, oh, don't take this so much, but they know people are just going to be dry scooping that stuff, trying to do whatever they can, right? And like the more you're doing it, the more it's going to mess you up. But
I don't think these business owners of a lot of these companies care if it hurts. I think they're in denial or they don't know. I don't know, but some certainly don't care. Like, what's his name who owns Prime Energy Drinks? Logan Paul.
Oh, Logan Paul, yeah.
Prime is really bad for you, and he
Horrible.
knows it's not good for people. Dude, you're already rich. Why not just make a healthy product? You have the power to change the world in a beautiful way. Why do you have to skimp on your product on the cogs to make an extra dollar per bottle or whatever, an extra 50 cents?
Yeah. Hey, here's a weird question to ask you, or it could be an uncomfortable one. What do you think about Onnit products?
I mean, I like Onnit. I personally don't. I mean, Onnit's an amazing brand. I admire a lot their brand and what they built and the gym and everything. And what's it called? Their main product is Alpha Brain.
Yeah.
I'm weird with nootropics. I get like anxiety on a lot of nootropics, and I get anxiety on Alpha Brain. I'm trying to think if I've used any of their other ones.
I get like a jaw thing with Alpha Brain. Like they have a little disclaimer. It's like I get a real clenching headache from it. I have another one that I use every now and then, OptiMind.
I got to try some of their other stuff, but I will say I love their brand. I love their I mean, they've been so successful. Their partnerships, I know some of those guys work their asses off, and their branding's really cool. So I love that about them. Not too experienced with their products though, besides Alpha Brain.
I gotcha. I was just curious because from what I know, I don't really use too many of their products, but from what I've heard Aubrey talk about ad nauseum is how difficult it was going through the manufacturing process because they wanted to have clean products. So I was just curious. I mean, seeing maybe if you want to shit on somebody, but we can move on or back to the cancer companies.
Did you also have to go through the issues of where products weren't being mixed with other, like if you're doing it, having your product manufactured? One of the things the Onnit guys were talking about was they were worried their product was being mixed with other products, bad materials, so that way they were getting other bad stuff into their product because it was the same equipment was being used from other facilities. Yeah,
there's definitely different tiers of manufacturers, and you get what you pay for. And again, going through a certified organic manufacturer, it's a totally different game. If they're not abiding, they get these random checks. The Department of Agriculture and these other quality insurance groups will come in and audit the facilities randomly out of nowhere. So at an organic facility, if they got caught, they could get shut down and lose many millions of dollars. So I don't worry about that. Our manufacturers we use they're the real deal. They're top of the line.
Is like the top place where, man, we are firing from the hip. Sorry, James, if you're looking to take this particular direction. It's just is your like main outlet, would you say like Amazon? Like you just get a ton of traffic there, no pun intended, organically.
Amazon has been really good to us. I am trying to transition away from it just because Amazon is scary in a lot of ways. Like they can just delete your account for no reason.
Yeah.
And I know people it's happened to, and it's not good to have all your eggs in that basket. So I'm trying to bring more traffic to our website, but also it's not official yet, but I'll be announcing it in the next couple of weeks. We just landed like the
exclusive
the biggest deal. I don't know if I can announce it yet.
When are you making the announcement?
In a couple of weeks, but it is looking very promising that we're landing by far the biggest deal we've ever landed with a major distributor. So
very nice.
Oh, you don't have to name them. I'm like, we could stagger this come out in 2 weeks. But we'll tease ourselves. This is a little teaser. Cool. This is how you get people to go to your website, check your socials.
Yeah. Subscribe to my email list if you don't want to miss this announcement. Organic muscle.
Master marketer. Look at that, dude. You were born for business, baby. I love it. So what would you say, what's like your vision for the next 5 years or so? It doesn't have to be 5 years, but like what's the next mountain that you're looking to climb?
So I really have become passionate about the natural testosterone space. Our newest product is organic Tonkat, and it's came out with the first certified organic Tonkat, and it's doing extremely well. So
What's that word you're saying?
Tonkat It's like the most well-studied herb in the world for boosting testosterone naturally. No side effects, or very, very low side effects. Yeah, look up the studies on it. There's numerous studies about its efficacy. It's really incredible. It almost works too well. I won't get into details, but you get very jonesed up taking this stuff. So, fellas.
Dylan, have you heard of it?
First, I've heard on it. I recorded that so I can make a clip of
that. TONGKAT space ALI. Tonkat Ali.
That sounds like what I want to name my kid.
I would have lost so bad.
They're gonna be, that kid's gonna be juiced up.
Ideally, you know. Daddy needs a future superstar.
Straight to the league.
So is that going to be like a supplement or like a tincture, or
we already have it. It's a powdered capsule supplement, and I'm working on some other supplements in that space, but I'm kind of passionate about natural bodybuilding and helping guys like be healthy and achieve like kind of that vibrant masculine energy without steroids. Cause I have friends who've destroyed their lives with steroids. Some people do it and it's great and it works out well for them. But I am a little fearful of all the influencers, and a lot of kids are doing it really young. Yeah. And it's just kind of a slippery slope, you know? The thing is, nature always offers a solution. That's one of my guiding principles. And like my testosterone is 1,000.
What?
And I'm a freaking vegetarian, and these rules, like, I'm telling you, so much of the low testosterone crisis in this country is because guys are jerking off to porn constantly and they're eating like crap. If you eat healthy and you basically do an elimination diet where you're not getting any of these toxins to the best of your ability, and you retain your sexual energy, it's like you're on steroids, and you take herbs like Tonkat Ali. I feel like I'm on steroids. People think I'm on steroids. I've never touched TRT or anything. So I'm really passionate about that, and I want to help guys achieve that. I think it's super cool that you could do this stuff naturally.
I think you're making an enemy in the steroid industry.
Why hasn't it become really more of a solution at this point anyways? Natural testosterone. It sounds like with it being such a big deal anyways, and a lot of younger people starting to do it, always been a big deal anyways in the bodybuilding, you would have thought someone would have come up with a more natural way, at least maybe even for younger people, to promote them to do it, and then they can level up when they're 30s or whatever. But
it's a good point, but there's not a magic pill. And in today's society, it seems like people just want like a magic, I just want to inject this into my ass and then I have high testosterone. But the natural way is harder. You know, it's easy to look at porn. It's easy to eat McDonald's. It's easy to do all these things. It's hard. I also don't drink. I haven't drank in a long time. And alcohol is one of the worst things for your testosterone. So it's a harder path. And sometimes people don't want to hear the uncomfortable answer. Hey, you could have testosterone like you're on steroids, but you have to eliminate a lot of stuff that's fun from your life for a greater goal, you know?
That's a good add-on there on the back end. What's your vice, James? What are you is it a nasty like ton of chocolate and you just rub it all over your body and you're like, I'm a dirty boy? Like what's like your thing?
Honestly, I recently kicked like a long-term nicotine addiction. I was addicted to nicotine forever. Really? And I just quit a couple months ago. Yeah, that was definitely a big one for me. I thought it helped me with work. So I tried to get off many times, and I was just like, I don't know if do you guys have experience with nicotine?
Yeah.
There you go.
For sure.
So you know it locks you in, you know?
Yeah.
And but the thing is, when you try and stop, there's like a few weeks to a month where it's really hard to focus. And I'm so freaking busy. I was just I made excuses for years. Dude, you have so much work to do. You're doing a disservice to everyone you love by not doing nicotine because you're just a waste of a human being. Finally, I was able to muscle through and quit that. That was a tough one.
Yeah,
I've
for
heard
me,
that is the toughest.
it's like it's 2 days where it's kind of tough or whatever. Like I'll take like tolerance breaks. Like it's not really a tolerance break. It's like to make sure, like, hey, like I'm driving the vehicle here. It's the compulsiveness that I really want to resist. So a couple months ago, I did realize, like, hey, compulsively, I'm leaning into this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, talk about the woo. I had to come back and I was like, hey, if I want to do this as a sovereign human being and make the conscious choice that I want to have nicotine in my life, like I need to build a ritual around it where there's intention and it's not reactive. It's like I'm making the choice. Like any real conscious alcoholic would tell themselves a story. I built that story up. But I mean, it seems to work for me where it's like, there's all these kind of angles with it or whatever. But kind of curious, like what was the thing for you where you're like, yeah, I got to cut this out of my life? Like what did you feel like it wasn't serving anymore?
I was a slave. I was just admitting to myself that I was totally enslaved. Like I do have friends that have a healthy relationship with nicotine. That was not me. It got to the point where anytime I needed to do anything using my brain, I was like using nicotine.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't like, oh, I want to read. I need nicotine. Oh, I need like tie my shoe. I was like, this is so out of control. And I couldn't lie to myself about it anymore. And for a long time, there's some people who I really respect who are just killers in every area of their life. And I mean killers in like the best way possible. They just crush work, amazing relationships, everything. And they use nicotine too. So for the longest time, I'm like, these amazing people use nicotine, so it's fine. But for me, it personally wasn't fine. It was weighing me down. And I also started getting like weird heart tremors and different things. And I just didn't feel good, man.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I think for a lot of people too, it can be like a waterfall habit, whether it's nicotine or alcohol or whatever that can stem to bigger issues. Doesn't sound like that was for you, but just something that came to mind is that like sometimes you just got to root out like that one thing that leads to the other things.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I've, building good habits is so important. It's so important. But like the things I've gotten the most benefit from is removing bad habits. That's really like, honestly, removing alcohol from my life has been such a blessing in so many ways.
Were you a heavy drinker?
Not really. I mean, if I could be honest, well, you asked about my bad habits. We're getting drunk, and then like we'd start doing other party favors, if you know what I mean. So I was like, all right, this is not a good path.
That's the one thing that led to other things, right?
Yeah. But honestly, the best thing about quitting alcohol, while I wasn't like a super heavy drinker, I drank frequently, like just socially. So like socially going on a date, have a couple drinks, going out with my friends, have a couple drinks, right? I didn't really realize that I had been doing that since I was like 16. So many of the vast majority of my social experiences were under the influence of alcohol, even if it was a light influence. So when I removed that from my life, I had to relearn how to socialize and relearn how to date. And I really found myself in such a deeper way. Like I really learned from every social interaction. I was more present and I evolved. And I wasn't evolving for the longest time when I was drinking and going out because you don't really retain your interactions in the same way. They're a little fuzzy. You don't know, like, oh, maybe I could have been more present. Maybe I could have asked about them. Maybe I could have done. There's no reflection when you're drinking. It's just, it's all kind of a fuzz. So I learned so much about myself in a social like paradigm. And that's been a huge blessing. And I feel so much more comfortable public speaking, say approaching a beautiful woman, talking to someone who I'd like to get to know in a business sense or whatever. It's really benefited me socially. So I'm super grateful for that.
Yeah.
I feel like too, when you started eating, or took down the drink a little bit and you took away the nicotine, your body probably was also like, hey, let's eat something a little bit better too. Like it was almost like your body was like, if we're on this train, let's continue that train. But if you're drinking and smoking, your body's like, all right, let's continue that train of McDonald's or Burger King, something.
Oh, bro, it's all momentum. It's all momentum. And that was the other thing. Drinking really, really crushed my momentum. I could be on a roll and go out and have a couple drinks. And just the next day, I didn't really feel like doing anything. Even 3 or 4 drinks, I just kind of didn't want, I just want to lay around, order pizza. But now I could go out, I could go to a dance party and dance and have a good time and get home and get a good night's sleep. And I'm ready to freaking rock,
If you do order a pizza right now, though, like what's your direction? You're like, well, I got to get something, but it's got to be healthy. What direction are we hitting right now? It used to be Domino's, probably Papa John's. What direction are we hitting now?
Oh, I like Hoboken pie in Austin. Austin's got some good pizza. I'm from New York originally and Connecticut, and we have the best pizza in the world, but Austin's pretty good.
Oh, yeah?
Nice. I like Austin pizza. Home slice is pretty good. Ooh. I'm about to go to Italy this summer too. So.
Dude,
but I've heard if you go to Italy and eat the pizza there and the pasta, you still usually don't gain weight because it's all pretty naturally made there.
That's the power. That's the power of not using these damaging agricultural methods that are just destroying our food supply.
Mm-hmm. That's something I like really. This is an appropriate time to use the word befuddle. That befuddles me because like when we look at where subsidies are going, like if you just take a couple steps back and look at what the government is subsidizing, because that's always the argument, right? It's like fast food's cheaper. Now with inflation, it's really not.
Yeah.
Like if you go, Dylan, you and I were talking about this recently, right? Like what the fuck's going on with Whataburger and McDonald's? It's like I can literally go for like $2 more and get like a gourmet cheeseburger at some restaurant, or for half the cost, make it at home.
So I haven't gone to a fast food place in so long. So it's like almost the same price now?
Almost the same price now. Yeah.
Wow.
I went a while back ago coming back. It was like 2 a.m., right? Coming back from the airport. I was like, whatever, I'll stop at a McDonald's and get something. Mm-hmm. And if you order a meal, let's say a quarter pounder, fries, let's uplarge it, whatever, you're upwards of like $15-16 just trying to get a meal. And that's just here in Florida. I can't imagine probably elsewhere around the country where even more it is. So at that point, and those are the only options at like 2 a.m. But if you're just going to look for dinner or lunch, like just go to Publix and get at least 2 meals out of that.
Yeah. Wow, that's super interesting. I had heard some murmurs about that, but I eat, 7 days a week pretty much. I'll go out maybe once a week to eat with friends, but I always eat at home. I'm like a fascist when it comes to controlling what I eat. Like I'm very strict about what I allow into my home and what I allow into my stomach. Very strict.
Have you ever done the meal kits? Those like there's all those different ones, Factor.
Yeah. Those. I think a lot of those companies are awesome. I'm a weirdo and I like kind of like preparing food, and
I thought about doing those to better understand my calorie count a little bit.
That's better. A really good idea. Yeah. It's really good to track and get an idea of it. I'm blessed to work from home too, so I can just like make stuff here. If I didn't work at home, I think like meal prepping like that or doing one of those, working with one of those companies is super helpful.
You mentioned you're a vegetarian, right?
Yeah. I'm a soy boy. Never thought I would be. Steak was my favorite food for most of my life, but
what triggered that?
Beer.
Honestly, it was a few things. So I've dedicated my life to health, but I'm not a vegetarian for health reasons. I am because I love animals, and I had a change of heart where I feel like it's just when I really weighed my heart about it, I didn't feel good about killing animals to eat them. Just plain and simple. I'm against violence, and when you look at a cow, honestly, like a calf is not all that different from a puppy. And I kind of was living in a fantasy world where I was like, oh, these cows are living like the most amazing, beautiful lives. And then they go to sleep one night and then they don't wake up and then they're in my belly. But when I actually started looking at how they live, 97% of the cattle is factory farmed in the most deplorable conditions imaginable. I'm a supporter of pasture raised farming if you can have some better conditions. But let's not fool ourselves and act like it's the norm. It is by far a very tiny minority where the cows actually live a decent life. Yeah. So I do it for animal welfare. You know, I still eat eggs. I support some backyard egg farms, but yeah, I was motivated by that. And I will also say that vegans are like the worst marketers in the world. Tend to be the most cringy, annoying people ever.
They just lean too hard into it. It's like you don't have to go that hard into just promote the healthy lifestyle. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, and they come across as angry. I do think there is a minority of vegans who are vegans because they actually hate humans, whereas instead of loving animals,
they make it look like they're low on protein, right? Like, hey man, like you look like you need to eat a burger and just like calm down a little bit, dude. And they come off so angry. I'm like, you're not really selling this pretty well at all.
Dude, that's what I'm saying, guys. The new sheriffs in town were taking over marketing. You, as a vegetarian, you have a moral responsibility to look amazing, to look healthy, to be glowing. You have a moral responsibility because you're trying to save animals' lives, and you come in looking like a light breeze could break you in half. This is not appealing. No one is going to go vegan or vegetarian when ambassadors of the lifestyle look like a twig, or they look emaciated, you know?
Yeah, okay, the opposite though. You can't look like a trucker guy with like beer belly out, and you're like,
be a cheese pizza vegetarian.
It's the healthiest thing you can eat. Is that good old meat?
Yeah, there's definitely unhealthy vegans, but I mean, most omnivores are very unhealthy. Most people who eat meat, you go to Walmart and the average person you see who looks like they're dying is not a vegan or vegetarian too. You know, so
it's important. Just go to a Walmart in general. When's the last time you went to a Walmart, by the way?
It was like a year ago.
Dude, I mean, I don't know when it was for me, maybe a couple months or something like that, but that's the average American right there. If you want to know who is leading the nation by populace, you just step into a Walmart and you're like, it all makes sense, honestly. Marketing campaigns, political decisions, food choices, like
it's terrifying. It's really sad. And I feel like I'm in my bubble. You know, I work from home. I live on Lady Bird Lake, so I'm always running around the lake, walking my dog. Then I go to the gym, go cold plunge here, go to a fitness event here. I'm in such a bubble where everyone's pretty healthy.
Got their shit together and look good.
Yeah. And then I go to the airport, or I go, you know, leave town, and you see what the majority of Americans are living like, and it's pretty disconcerting, and I honestly feel really bad for them. But there's also no excuse anymore. We live in the age of the internet. There's endless nutrition, there's endless workout advice. There's not an excuse. Now, I understand people have come into they're influenced by their family and all these things, but
what do you think about the grocery store influencers out there now? Where they're going out.
Which ones? Like
just any of them. Just they're like, don't buy this product, buy this product, and then 2 weeks later they're like, don't buy that product. I'm not going to tell you I told you to buy it 2 weeks ago, but don't buy that product. Buy this one over here.
Yeah, have you seen those memes about someone made a meme like they show all those clips and then they're just like eating a plate of air. They're like, according to the influencers, I could eat this in a glass of air.
Yeah. Abby and I were actually talking about that this morning because like spinach is one of those referencing Abby like oxidizers, or like it strips minerals unless you have cooked the spinach because of the way your body digests the spinach. So there's, you know, it's like this, that, and the other. But I know when I have, like, when you listen to your body is the other thing too, right?
That's
Like the foods, when you strip the bullshit out that like hijacks your buds and changes the bacteria in your gut, your body's going to tell you, like, you're not going to know, oh, hey, I need to eat a fucking apple, but like your body's going to crave something sweet, like a banana or an apple. Like, you don't know why, but like you could walk into a grocery store that didn't have any of the bullshit in the middle, and your body would literally guide you to what it's looking for.
100%. The body is so brilliant. And that's why I think an elimination diet is something everyone could do. If you're having some kind of health issues, just like make your diet simple and really try and ascertain what is causing the problems. Like, unfortunately, most people are on autopilot and they're not really thinking about the impact of every food on how they feel. But it's just, if you just take a couple weeks and do that, you could set yourself up for life.
I think it's what like Dr. Tyler Panzner, who we've had on, talks about. He's like, every person's a little different because it turns out we've all of our genetics are mutated a little way, whatever your family line is or lineage is. So every person's mutated a little bit. And so like what one person's saying to get, take fish oil and take this and take that, and this will be healthy for you, might not actually be working. It might be hurting you if you're taking that much on the other side. You got to listen to what works best for you. And that turns out to be how those that become influencers, it seems like that's never what they say, is they went through that process of like what you said, where they started with the basics and start figuring it out. They just start telling people what works for them, and that's it.
Right. There's no one size fits all, and acting like there is disingenuous. We're all different. We have different ancestries. We live in different geographical areas. We have access to different things. So yeah, I mean, it's a personal journey for all of us, but I think a unifying, like, across the board good advice is just try and, whatever your diet's going to be, try and get the cleanest version of it you can without kind of the extraneous additives. That's generally a good rule of thumb. Hydrate. I think for a lot of people, eating more fruit is generally a good thing. And if you're eating meat, like, really try and get the highest quality you can, where the animals are treated with some form of respect. Because the level of imagine an animal that's being literally watching its family killed, all the cortisol, they know they're about to die, they're screaming. I mean, just watch some factory farm footage. You'll probably never want to eat meat again. Well, it's good to watch just so you never support factory farming as much as you can. There's some pretty good brands. There's an Austin brand. Oh shit, I'm blanking on the name. Force of Nature. As far as I know, they treat the animals more humanely, So I think if you don't want to ingest like that level of cortisol. So
yeah,
always a good idea. Yeah.
Same thing, like when you're putting a deer down in the wild, like that's why you want a clean shot, put it down quick so it doesn't suffer. But it's also like, it's not just for the animal suffering, it's really for you too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We are what we eat,
Yeah, man. So, as we're kind of like,
do I sound like a crazy vegetarian? This is my first time really talking about it publicly.
No, I think you sound great. Actually, I got a question for you. Because you went that route, and you did it for health reasons, you did it for the animals. If they changed it to where the only way you could get your meat was hunting entirely, would you do it that way if that was the way you got? Because I'm sure you live in Austin. I know hunting. I've been hunting. It takes a lot of time and energy to do that. It is.
Yeah.
You got to put a lot into that to go get it. But if you had the time and energy, would you do it to get protein that way?
I love that idea, and I love the concept of people hunting their own food. The thing that upsets me is how divorced we've become from the food we eat. I think it's great if people hunted their food instead of relying. Dude, what the system we have now, it's literally like if an alien race like came down and set up these slavery genocide factories.
For real.
It's
and
so
you get way
divorced
more
from nature and for respect for the animals we're consuming. Now, a hunter going out and going in nature, and like, it's an intimate thing if you shoot a deer and you skin a buck and all this. I think there's beautiful. That's like the Native American way. And I honestly, and $1 can feed a family for a while, you know?
Oh yeah, a couple months for sure.
So
Yeah.
I think there's something poetic and beautiful about that. Personally, I'm taking a vow of nonviolence in my life, but I support hunting compared to what we have exponentially.
Yeah, that's one thing that Abby and I are looking into. Is like getting a part or half of a cow. In general, I mean, we just kind of have a rule of like we try and go for happy animals, you know, happy eggs, happy cows, all that kind of stuff. Because yeah, you definitely are what you eat. And you know, one of the other things that's like weird about the civilization we live in is even the vegetables are getting divorced from really like where they want to be grown and the soil it's grown in. And like that's the other reason why like supplementation is really important. Like Dr. Tyler Panzer is really educating us on that. Is like even if you're eating a whole clean diet, like those plants don't have the minerals that they used to. A lot of them anyway, right? Like if someone's just like heading over to a clean diet, it's, you know, take the first step, but the other step as well is becoming educated of knowing like your body's still going to be craving stuff because it's not, most crops aren't grown in really deep nutritionally rich soil. You know, so I don't know, it's just kind of interesting, like back to how the government's subsidizing things. It's like we're encouraging corn and shit that it's like, why don't we pump that money into other stuff that's like literally going to turn around a health crisis?
It's mind-boggling how entrenched some of these lobbies are, like the corn lobby. It's nuts, and corn is in everything. That's why there's high fructose corn syrup.
Everything.
It's nuts.
Yeah,
it's truly nuts. And to your point about the soil, I don't remember the exact metrics, but they said like, you know, a certain vegetable is like a fraction of as nutritious as it used to be because the soil is so depleted. So, I mean, this is what's our children's, what's the foodscape going to look like for our children? It's a really interesting question. I don't know the answer because things seem to be spiraling pretty quickly, but all we can do, I mean, we're all consumers, right? So we vote with our dollars. So that's why I'm big on conscious spending of our dollars with the businesses we support, you know, try and support certain things. And then there'll be more of that will take a more prominent position in the marketplace.
Yeah. I think that's what's really cool about like the approach you're taking to business too. Like a little light bulb went off for me earlier. It's like your brand, like your ethos as the business owner, it's kind of like you have this personal development ethos disguised as a supplement company. The way that you're approaching like personal growth and development, taking the harder path that's more rewarding and feeding your soul, your mind, your body, your spirit, like all in one. I'm really glad you came on the podcast for people to get to learn that too. Cause that like, I think that's such an awesome approach, man. The way you're living your life, like that's definitely going to come through in your products because like you have morals, you have ethics, like you're spiritually bound to your product. And I think if more companies did that, I don't see how that turns out bad for consumers.
Thanks, man. That's really means a lot to me, and that's exactly what I've dedicated my life to. I mean, it's like conscious capitalism. I think it's the way forward with humanity. Like people starting businesses right in the niche that they care the deepest about, solving a problem that they personally have. If everyone starts doing that, the world's gonna be a beautiful place, you know. And I feel blessed to have had the opportunity because things kind of lined up for me where I was able to do this. There's a million other realities where I didn't get the opportunities to do this, you know? So I feel very fortunate that I was even able to, because literally a million things had to line up exactly perfectly for me to be here today. So,
well, it doesn't seem like you're any less grateful for it. You can tell, man. You're using gratitude, and we love you for it, man. So
you're like the Steve Jobs of like organic. You're like, I have a great product, but we're not really selling this product. We're selling you a wholesome image. Conscious capitalism.
I'll take it. I'll take that.
Before we get you out of here, brother, we got one
I gotta
question.
get my turtleneck.
Yeah.
We got one question we like to ask all our guests, James. And it's kind of redundant in nature. If there was one question you wish more people asked you, what would it be?
More. I like talking about conspiracy theories and aliens and stuff. So I always like going deep on weird topics like that. So anyone runs into me, ask me about aliens or angels and demons.
Give us your juice. Give us your juice. What's like the one that gets you fired up?
Tee us up for the next episode, because we're coming back on to talk about some conspiracy theory.
All right. I'm just gonna say I've seen some things personally in my life that I don't know how to explain it except it being some kind of light being. It was I don't know how else to explain it, but there are definitely some life forms that we don't really understand 100%. And technologies that the government has that aren't disclosed. These things are real. I don't know what I saw but I saw something that is not in the like popular lexicon of things that exist. So
all right, folks.
We're going to tee that up for the next episode for sure.
Hey, if folks do want to support your brand, your business, or just connect with you in general, what's the best place for them to find you?
Yes, sir. Our website is organicmuscle.com. You can find me on Instagram at James Benefico, and our business page is at organic_muscle. Yeah, come check it out.
Cool. Yeah, go support them, guys. And we'll put a link to your website in the show notes below. And if you're interested in purchasing it, go there. Don't be a cheap bastard and buy it from Amazon. He makes more money if you go to his website. So, hey, we love you guys, and we'll see you next week. Peace.
Peace.